So, the web. What is that about, really? Cats. Well, as vast as it may appear, one might argue that the web is essentially technology to allow creative people to facilitate the sort of the creative interaction between people. And in that perspective, allowing creative people to reach others, touch emotions, make an impact, or simply make people go, wow. I think that is true for most of the creative people out there creating content for the web and making that space come to life. My name is Marcus, and I'm one of the founders of Goo Technologies. And during the past couple of years, we've listened intensively to all the people out there creating content for the web, and thereby filling it with meaning. And regardless if you talk to web developers or artists, they all tell us the same kind of story. That they want to create something magical, and that they want to make a difference to other people. So essentially, that is what things are about here, creating magic and making a difference. But that is, of course, dependent also on technology. So if the technology isn't there, there won't be much magic either, regardless of how much creativity or artist effort you put into it. Now, luckily, every now and once and then there's an innovation or a technology that comes along and changes the status quo. Innovation or technology that makes a real impact on ecosystems and the people in them. Technology that changes what we expect from the devices that we sort of use in our digital lives, and that allows the creative people to create much more magic in that content and for the web. And I do believe that HTML5 is such a technology, but in particular, when you throw WebGL into the equation. And that probably doesn't come as a surprise to most of you really skilled HTML5 developers. But I do think we have an obligation as a community to communicate that to the world and make it clear what kind of amazing opportunities there is with this kind of technology. So with WebGL, you get, for instance, hardware acceleration. And I think that's a pretty big deal. It allows us to get web apps so much closer to native apps in terms of graphical performance. And that, in essence, sort of touches upon one of the key concerns that has been floating around about HTML5, about graphical performance. So I would argue that the arrival of WebGL is probably the biggest leap in the history of the browser. And so far, no one that I've talked to in the industry has argued differently. So with WebGL, you get hardware acceleration, 3D capabilities, but also silk smooth 2D graphics. You get touch responsiveness on mobile devices, which we all love. You can also make gorgeous graphical user interfaces. So in essence, way more magic for the web. So we've been at this space for quite some time now. And one of the first things we did was to bring a little more magic to web retail by building the world's first 3D e-commerce app on HTML5. Shortly thereafter, together with Electronic Arts, we created an industry-changing 3D gaming demo that I personally think did a pretty good job in sort of changing the perspective of the gaming industry in terms of what you can do on HTML5. Earlier this year, we wanted to showcase the cross-platform capabilities of WebGL-powered HTML5. So we created the most advanced mobile gameplay graphics ever made. And just a couple of months ago, we were really proud when the world's first commercial live iGaming 3D world went live, casinofloor.com, and that was a huge success for the operators starting that venture. And not mentioned here, I'm also extremely proud to announce that we're just kicking off a project where we're building the world's most photorealistic gaming experience on HTML5 that you've ever seen. Now, above all, I'm here today to present to you the result of close to a decade of technology evolution, leveraging work we have done with AAA gaming graphics engine, groundbreaking 3D modeling for product industry, and also the work we did with NASA to enable the Mars Curiosity rover to digitalize the Mars landscape in 3D. And I would say that this whole evolution has been sort of, I would say, infused by a dedication to accessibility and to make it easy to use. Because the whole purpose has been to bring that power to all the creative people out there really believing in the web. So are you ready? Want to see what it is? Yeah! Yeah! Here it is. Goo Glass ES 3D. And boy, these are really sophisticated. When you use these bad boys, everything online becomes 3D. Really. No, sorry, just, of course, I'm kidding here. We're not making any glasses. We're not in the glasses space. Let's leave that to the, let's leave the sort of the funny looking, socially awkward kind of glasses thing to Google in Mountain View to mess around with. But what I wanted to talk to you about today is a software product that is entirely cloud-based. No plugins, no downloads. Runs in the browser. With it, you can make groundbreaking web graphics. Gorgeous. I loved it from the first time I saw it. It was awesome. It's built from the ground up for simplicity. Point and click, drag and drop, what you see is what you get. We even wanted to make it possible to program games and apps without even coding. So visual programming. And it's all powered by the most potent WebGL graphics out there, the Goo engine. And with it, you can make stunning web graphics on all devices. On all devices. Desktop, mobile phones, and on tablets. And what's really exciting to me is that if you just took a look at the pipeline from the console manufacturers, at least the three big ones, they're about to be ready for WebGL-powered HTML5 too. And that's a pretty big deal. And not to mention, or not to forget, the TV set manufacturers that are also becoming ready. So what we're seeing here is probably the largest installed base or device base for interactive graphics and games on the planet without any competition. And that's really exciting. And this is, by the way, the background image is just a print screen screenshot from a game work in progress that is built on the platform. It's a beautiful 3D flight simulator game. Beautiful. So then you might ask, what does this mean from an ecosystem and industry perspective? I think it means a great deal. For one thing, if you just try to recall the interesting debate between, you know what I'm talking about, mobile web sort of and native apps. Who's the winner? And media has been trying to, I don't know, appoint a winner in all this somehow. It's been an interesting cage match, and I don't think there's a winner here. I personally have pretty much two predictions. I think that there will be native apps running on pretty much all devices. And I think there will be web apps running on pretty much all devices. It's really not such a big bet, but what I do believe in is the direction of mobile will move towards where desktop is going, and that is more content will run from the cloud as web apps. And if you're a web developer or an artist, I think it makes a whole lot of sense to think about where the world is moving when you plan for what you're doing. You might get some advice from the great one, because Wayne knew that a good hockey player plays where the puck is now, whereas a great hockey player knows to skate where the puck is going to be. But a few things that I think is fair to say that would be valid for all digital experiences is that I think they will be increasingly viral. I think they will be way more social than what we're used to today. And I think in increasingly fashion they will happen and be deployed in real time. And that, I think, points to the web as a pretty powerful platform for digital experiences. And that goes not just for games, but for the next generation of digital advertising, for e-commerce, or just product visuals. And I think we can agree on that it is all about creating the magical online user experiences. So, I guess we see here that there's kind of this technology revolution going on. But then the question becomes, is that technology shift enough to disrupt the status quo? No. What you have to do, you have to add people, creative people, to the equation. Because creative people are essentially the people that bring technology to life and fill an ecosystem with beautiful content. And without that, you won't really have much of a change. So let's take a look at how that looks like, because here's where I think we kind of have the real potential for disruption. Now, let me give you some numbers. Just look at the developer base. Just as in a comparison, the research tells us that for iOS, we have about roughly 100,000 professional developers or skilled developers. On Android side, you have about 300,000 to 400,000, a bit more. But those numbers are dwarfed by the number of web developers out there. 8 million. So that's a pretty big developer base to empower. And if you do that, it makes a huge difference, right? And not to mention, if you can expand that group to also involve or include artists, they're not really doing much of the coding, but much of the creative stuff. And if you can expand that to also include people like me, it's a huge sort of developer base or a group of people that can create content for an ecosystem. But we also have to acknowledge that there's something holding creation back here. Still something holding creation back. So let's take an even deeper look at what at what that is. Here's Fred. Fred is an artist, and Fred loves games. He also happens to love the web. Now, he really likes using Unity for his work, and he's so used to deploying on Flash. In fact, his entire business is built on using Flash for deployment. But Fred is becoming increasingly concerned. Why? Because he's a bit concerned about the departure of Flash. And not to mention, he's concerned about the fact that plugins will soon be a thing of the past, because the browser guys are throwing plugins out the door. So can HTML5 really help Fred? Well, in the beginning, Fred was really excited about HTML5. Hey, HTML5, this is going to be my rescue. But then something happened. Mark at Facebook went out and said that HTML5 just wasn't there. And that was really scary to Fred. Could he really count on HTML5, he asked himself. Well, to put things in perspective, let's take a look at sort of what normally happens with technologies, emerging technologies. So look at the Gartner curve. And I would argue that HTML5 is really following the same kind of pattern as any other emerging technology. You have a lot of sort of hype and potential in the beginning, and then a lot of disappointment. And then our buddy Mark came out and really sort of drove HTML5 deep down in the sort of the valley of despair. But hey, things are changing. HTML5 is really coming together from a technology standpoint due to the, I'd say, huge commitment from the industry and the ecosystem to make things work. It's picking up, it's becoming ready for prime time from a technology standpoint. But somehow still, Fred isn't really happy. So what's the problem? Well, problem is that Fred is not a developer. So what are then his options to create the stuff he loves and deploying it on the web? Well, he could program everything himself from scratch, but that would require him to learn a lot of new skills, pick up some really low-level WebGL stuff, do some advanced coding, and that would require a lot of time and a lot of effort from his side. He could obviously use an HTML5 framework or an engine of some sort, but that also requires a lot of programming. And truth be told, most of the stuff out there aren't really up to par with what Fred wants to create, because his ambitions are high. I know that guy, by the way. His ambitions are really high. So he could also hire a developer, but that is also really complex and requires some investment. So in essence, the current HTML5 options for Fred, they don't really make sense. So we decided that we wanted to help Fred and his likes. We wanted to change it all. We wanted to give something to Fred that he loves, but also something that is useful to the hardcore coders of the world. Something that brings all that magic to the web, and something that empowers the millions of creative people out there that want to deploy and create great content for the web. We decided it needed to be powerful, but also simple and easy to use, so that even kids could use it, or my mom and dad for that matter. Huh? What do you guys say? So, what is Goo? Goo is a development platform entirely cloud-based. And that creates some amazing opportunities for collaborative work. You don't have to go through the hassle of sharing files and emailing things back and forth. You can share your work with your fans and friends and ask them to join in if you want to. It's really easy. It's drag and drop. You can create stunning graphics with it, really gorgeous. That's because it's powered by the most potent WebGL graphics engine out there, Goo Engine. We're going to release an asset market where artists and developers can exchange their work. And work built on Goo is really built for real-time deployment because it's all on the web. So if you're building a game, for instance, you can focus on sort of getting your game out the door and then optimize and update it based on the feedback that you get. And everything on Goo is super social because it's all JavaScript, so you can integrate seamlessly with all the social platforms out there. And at the end of the day, both sharing and playing is just a click away. We're also going to help HTML5 developers sort of make a living off the work they do by adding monetization services and distribution. Because at the end of the day, it's really about enabling creative people to create magic for the web and thrive by doing so. So Goo essentially consists of two products. One is the Goo engine. It's the coder dynamite. So all JavaScript based, built for performance, and seamless JavaScript integration. The other one is Goo Create, sort of engineered for artist freedom and with a cloud-based graphical UI. And these products work really in symbiosis. So they are essentially the yin and the yang of Goo. So just to give you some product features, we have the graphics pipeline, where you can drag and drop models onto the web framework. And you can instantly convert them to WebGL optimized Goo engine format. And we also have some great Unity support. So you can export your assets from Unity and get them onto the platform. There's a scene editor, where you then can arrange for 3D models, set the materials, up the texture, augment lighting, get the cameras in there, adjust the environment. You can add post effects, or create a complete scene for a game or for your app. We have some animation support where you can import skeleton-based animations in a drag-and-drop fashion, arrange animation states, configure transitions, or add blending for multiple animations. And we have visual programming. For me, that's really I think that's awesome. We call it the state machine. You can create logic and interactivity with boxes and arrows in a drag and drop fashion. You can add predefined state to transition between states or share them amongst your friends and with others. So you can essentially program without code. You can do real-time publishing. So publish your creations with a click of a button. Just share, collaborate with blazing iterations. Really powerful. And it's completely browser-based. So all the things you do are stored safely in the cloud, and they're accessible from anywhere. You don't have to worry about sort of sharing files or sending emails back and forth. So, and it's all powered by Goo engine. Really powerful architecture. So entity-based system, coherent architecture, that is actually something that I personally really sort of proud of what the guys have done here. So we get so much feedback from the great architecture that is extendable, modular, and so forth. Really, really powerful. Built for performance from the ground up, no shortcuts, and it's obviously full integrated with Goo Create, so you get that sort of the juice by automatically. So I just wanted to show you an example of what you can do, and this is all done without writing a single line of code. So the Goo engine, the world's most powerful WebGL graphics engine out there, we're giving it to the world for free. Actually, even Goo Create as a platform, if you're happy with sharing your code with the community and choose the open version, that's also free. But if you want to remain private and hide your beautiful creations from the world, we charge you $50 a month. Other than that, no restrictions. And yeah, of course, during beta, that's free too. So on November 1st, we're starting off our beta launch. It will be a phased approach, so gradually onboarding developers. We have a few thousand coming on from the beginning and then gradually phasing up. So bring up your computers now or your smartphones and go to gooengine.com and sign up. And if you mention HTML5DevConf in the comment fields when you sign up, we'll be sure to put you in the VIP group straight away.
So I did that at the start of this presentation, signed up. So there wasn't any way I could put DevConf in the comment?
There's no comment field there now?
I'd have to load my laptop.
That's good to know. Let's fix that. Let's fix that.
No, there is. There's a comment field.
Is there a comment field?
Yes. Yeah.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Oh, I almost forgot. We get a lot of questions on whether or not you can come out on iOS. And you know what? Together with our friends, where are you, Iker? At Luday? You guys are back there? With the help of Luday, we fixed that too. So if you build on the platform, you can easily, using Luday's technology, compile and make an iOS app. So you don't have to think about sort of, should I deploy natively in the App Store or on Android, Google Play, or distribute on the web, on Facebook, Amazon, and so forth. You can just beautifully compile and be out on both channels. So I think that's really, really powerful. Thank you, guys.